Okay, let's look at questions, percentage questions, National 5. This is original price type questions. Comes up every year. If you saw the first video, gave you the format, showed you the format that we'll be using for this. You need to learn it. You know this is coming up in the exam, it always comes up in the exam. So it's a banker in an exam. So you've got to make sure you know how to do it. And they're very easy. There's not much to them and they can't ask you anything really different. Okay, so here it goes. A house has risen in value by 12.7% in 1 year and is worth £140,000. How much was it worth last year? So how much was it worth last year? Now, big mistake in these type of questions that people just take the 12.75% of that amount and subtract it and say that's the answer. And if you do that, you get nothing in the exam, absolutely nothing, because it's not the right thing to do. It's all about the wording in the question. You've got to be careful, and the only way you get good at these type of questions by practice, you recognise the wording. So, percentage. Quantity, which in this case is money. So let's look at what we have to do. A house has risen by 12.7%. That means that is now worth 112.7%. Because last year, when you started your initial value, 100%, and it's went up by 12.7%. So that's how much it's worth in terms of percentage now, and that equates to £140,000. Okay. So, excuse me, how much was it worth last year? Well, it's 100%, that's what we started at. So, started at 100%. So, how much is 100% worth? Well, we want this value here to be less than 140,000 because it's increased by 12.7%. So this value here must be smaller. So we'll look at these two percentage values and we make a smaller fraction, which is 100 over 112.7 times 140,000. Now it's money, so we might have to round this to 2 decimal places, just depending how the numbers come out. So we just do that calculation. So that's 100 divided by 112.7 times 140,000. And that comes to 124,223.60. So that's how much it was worth last year before the percentage increase. And if you now want to check to see if it's the right answer, take 12.7% of that and add on to that, and you should get back to there. Okay. Right, so that was the percentage increase. Let's look at a decreasing one. A car depreciates. Now depreciate means goes down in value by 18.4% in a year, and is now valued at £12,500. How much was it valued at last year? Okay, so exactly the same format, it's per proportion sort of layout. There's my percentage, and again it's money, so it's pounds. So a car depreciates by that amount. That means that the percentage in here is not 118.4 as a lot of people would put down. That's not right, because it's decreased by 18.4%. So it's 100% minus your 18.4. So if we do that in the calculator, we'll get that to be 81.6% is equivalent to 12,500. Okay. It's depreciated, it's went down by that amount. So it was 100% originally, and it's went down, so it's only worth that percentage now. So what was it originally last year before it went down in value? Well, it was 100% in terms of percentages. And we want this value here to be bigger than that, because last year it was worth more money. So the value here must be bigger, so we'll look at the two percentages. And we make the bigger fraction, which is 100 over 81.6 times 12,500. And again, we just bump that into our calculator and we work out the answer to that. Okay. So 12,500. And that comes to 15,318.63 to the penny. Okay. Oh, and that's your answer. And that's how we do these questions. Now, a key part of this question is the format. Now, a nice wee trick when you're doing these original values is when you've got the layout, you've got the layout here. This one's increasing in value. This one was decreasing in value. But look at the fraction that you get. The 100 is always in the top. So less chance of making a mistake in this format because you get your percentages and no matter what you're going to calculate at the end, even if it's more or less, the 100% is always in the top of the fraction. And that's a nice wee thing to remember, and less chance of making mistakes. Okay, it's worth 3 marks in your exam. 1 mark normally for here, 1 mark for your fraction part, and 1 mark for your final answer. Okay, same idea here. 1 mark for here, 1 mark for your fraction, and 1 mark for your final answer. Now, also in the question, it usually tells you to round to 3 significant figures or 2 significant figures, that type of idea. That's another wee complication at the end of the question. Okay, but that's how you do original price.